Hi, James. How you doing today?
Hey, sure. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing just peachy.
Can I
James,
hear? Can you cut it up, the volume a little bit? Sorry. All right, there we go. That's good. Okay, go ahead.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you good now.
Great, great. Now that
Hold on one second. Thank you. I'm sorry.
no worries. Now that you have some of your players back, Allie, Courtney, and then you're going to have Shyla too, how do you incorporate them into your practices and any possibility they'll play tomorrow?
Shyla is the only one that's not here yet. Everybody else is here. I think everybody will play. I think Z, we're still kind of deciding on if she goes or not. We're still trying to be mindful of where she is. So she may be the one that we may rest, we may not.
Is it more important what happens in your practices though after this game that leading up to Saturday's opener?
No, I think, yeah, I mean, we want to see where we are and we want to, teach a lot, so that's where we are. And so practices are going to be a telltale and getting everybody jailed together, so that's going to be how we gauge where we want to be going into Saturday.
Thank you.
Eric Wilson.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon to you. Hope
Hey,
all.
Eric, how you doing?
I'm well, sir. Thank you. So, as you start the process of bringing this team to the 11 that you're wanting to run the season with, can you speak on, aside from defensively, some of the focuses that you're looking at?
Defensively, offensively, screening and spacing. I think the screening was an issue yesterday. We didn't get enough on a lot of our screens. The angles weren't great. And so that's going to be something that, we talk about. Also running into our sets. I thought, and it's early. So, and especially since we were more focused defensively since the beginning of training camp, us actually, having some offensive rhythm. We knew it would, be a struggle early, but we want to see more running into our sets and getting out of our screens quicker.
As the game progressed yesterday against Indiana, did you kind of feel the ladies get into that rhythm or that chemistry that you want them to get to?
Yeah, especially defensively. In the second, third quarter, I thought we were fine. Once we, talked about how the sense of urgency and getting back in defense and the sense of urgency and disrupting their offense. They play faster than we did, and I don't think they're a faster team than we are, but they were yesterday.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
Annie Costable.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time.
Hey, Annie, thanks.
My first question for you is just about Shyla. Her not being here, how, if at all, has that challenged you in getting to 11? I know you've said that she's a solidified player, but has that challenged you at all?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I've talked to other coaches. It's going to be a challenge for them as well because they have players that are out. So we're just going to deal with it as it comes. We have a lot of confidence in her, and I talked to her last night, and she's anxious, and so she's a little disappointed that she can't be here. But when we drafted her with a long goal in mind of her being our backup point guard and our backup point guard of the future, not just for years this year or we want her to be a part of what we do. So we knew that 2 weeks wouldn't hinder us from that, but in the meantime, it has been frustrating not being able to get her here, and we have to adapt. But we'll have time to kind of throw her in the fire and get her adapted by the time we go on a stretch run where playoffs come in view.
And then secondly, how does the mindset or mentality change at all with an actual game being played this weekend, the start of the season beginning this weekend, or does it stay the same?
It gives you more sense of urgency. Like, you have to be mindful of now we're working toward a goal. I think yesterday's game was more of an evaluation, and I think tomorrow's game it'll be more of us preparing. And even during the game, sometimes during that game, I didn't want to play the players as much as we did, but it turned it from an evaluation until they need to get their legs up under them a little bit. So you saw our players who I initially wanted to play 15 minutes, played more so 20 minutes. And I think it was good for them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Dorothy Gentry.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time today. I wanted to ask you just a couple of quick questions. How does the acquisition of Candace, can you hear me? I'm sorry. Am I talking loud enough? Okay.
Yeah, no, you're very meek. Yeah, I appreciate the voice, but just a little.
Okay. I'll put some bass in it. How
Thank
does the acquisition of, Candace and the return of Diamond and Azare and some others, does that create a pressure for the Sky or expectations for the Sky to win now? And how do you manage that? That's one question.
I think it creates expectations from the outside. My goal is to just get us better. That's it. And we'll end up where we're going to end up. But my goals were always to win, no matter what team we had, and to maximize who we are. I think having the players that we have, it puts us in a conversation where people think that we can do well or better, than a lot of other teams. So it doesn't put any, undying pressure on me. I just, come out and do my job and try to get us into situations where we can win games and build some confidence around what we want to do.
Yes, sir. And then off the court, I want to ask you, what would you teach your players besides basketball, as far as being a mentor to your players as well?
Well, we talk about just being a good person and being someone that what's very big in our organization is thank you. We talk about just appreciating what other people do, and it's not always about you. And I think that's the important thing that we try to. It's big. We have a meeting about it every year about how it's important to tell the support staff thank you and tell them that you appreciate them, and it makes everybody want to do their job. I think it's just big in doing that, and it seems like such a simple gesture, but sometimes we can overlook it. And that's my main thing. I just want us to always be appreciative of what the next person is doing and understand that it's not always about you.
Thank you.
Nick Hamilton.
Good afternoon, Coach. I apologize if you mentioned this earlier, but I just wanted to ask you about Stephanie Watts, the young lady that you guys acquired in the trade yesterday. What do you what's the potential that you see in this young lady that will be able to help your team in some shape or form?
Well, we really liked her. I interviewed her during the process, during the pre-draft process, and just watching her since she was in her first stint at North Carolina, we thought that she's someone that had WNBA attributes. She had long arms, ran the floor really well, athletic, really good shooter, spacer, good at changing directions, and she was a good teammate. That's what we heard, from across the board, wherever she was, and so we were excited. It's someone that we looked at to draft, but she was off the board earlier than we would have liked. But so we've had our eye on her. We watched her in LA. Once we were talking to about Gabby. So that was early on. So no, it's a good get for us, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised when she gets in our system.
And also too, Coach, you spoke about leadership. You spoke about just the communication aspect of this team and the culture that you're creating with this team. Obviously, moving towards the first game of the regular season, what are some of the things outside of getting a win, obviously, but what are some of the things that you're looking for as far as this team being able to execute on and off the floor as they prepare, as you guys take on this 2021 season?
Well, it's about how we play. It's about how we play and how we do things. And the wins and the losses, they'll come, but it's like how we win. I think we focus a lot on winning and losing games, but some games you're not going to win and you play the right way. And in those games you can build off of even more than the games that you win, but you win one that you probably shouldn't have. And I just want us to play the right way so we can build and kind of get the chemistry and get the momentum that we need with each game.
Thanks, Coach.
Sorry, am I good to go? I didn't hear my name
go.
said.
No problem.
Hi, Coach. It's Hugh Hopkins here from Sky Sports in the UK. I hope you're keeping well. Thanks for talking to us. I wanted to ask a little bit about, sorry to bring it up again, but the Gabby situation. It feels like one team or another goes through a similar situation every year. And this might be a sort of sticking point to sort of slowing down the league's momentum and its growth in the next few years. I wondered if you think there's a better way what you think needs to change with the league going forward to avoid these types of situations.
This was a particular situation, and I know I took a lot of flack by not speaking on it earlier. But the reason I didn't speak on it was because Gabby demanded a trade in early April, okay? And so we were trying to do that for her. We weren't looking to trade Gabby at no point. We actually turned down offers for Gabby since the beginning of free agency. And this call that I got from the French Federation about Gabby coming to the national team, I actually talked to them back in October, and they told me that Gabby would never be on the French national team for this cycle. And so I was like, okay, I would support. I called them to see if that was a possibility once Bria Hartley got hurt. And they said, no, not this cycle. She won't be on the French national team. And so I explained that to Gabby that, that's what they were telling me. And so what ends up happening is after time goes on, we do our team and we prepare our team. We get Candace, we sign Astu, and we sign Astu with the understanding that she's going to come early and she's going to leave at the last possible minute. So what ends up happening with Gabby is they talk to Gabby about coming to play with the national team, and then they call me and they say, hey, look, they called me at the end of March, early April. I was in San Antonio watching the NCAA tournament. They said, we want Gabby to come from the French national team. And I'm like, okay, but so how do we do it? And they say, we want her to come from the beginning. She can't play in the WNBA because we want her to rest. We want her to really focus. She's never been on the French national team, so we want to really incorporate her with it. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I understand what you want, but I have a responsibility to have my full team together. This is a good year for us. And so I call Gabby and, we talk about it. And she says, hey, look, this is a dream of mine. This is something I want to do. And I said, okay, but this puts us in a bind. This puts us in a bind because we have players coming off injury. It puts us in a bind because we have players that are leaving for the national team. So we're going to play at 8 or 9 players at the beginning of the season. So we have to start off the season with hardships. And so my compromise, what I would have liked was her to do like Astu or to do like Steph, be here in training camp, be here when you can. And outside of the national team stuff, just play with us. Well, that wasn't an option for the French national team. They said she had to be here to incorporate, and they don't want her playing. If not, it's going to be hard for her to make this team. And so at this point, I have to make a decision on what is best for our organization, what is best for our team. And so I'm asking Gabby, hey, Gabby, I need you here. And so Gabby calls me back later. She says, hey, listen, I understand you need someone here, but I can't do it. And so I prefer to be traded. Okay, she wanted to be traded in early April. And the reason I didn't speak on it is because Gabby's value as a player and as a person is high. But the fact that she's not going to be there, her trade value went down. And so the teams that were interested in her, they weren't interested in her the same. And so what I decided to do is I just wanted to be quiet, and I wanted to work on a trade to get her where she wanted to go. She wanted to go to LA, and I was fine with that. I didn't want to cause any ruckus. I didn't want to put Gabby in whatever they said I did. And so we worked on a trade, and I was transparent with staff, with the team. Everybody knows that, Gabby wanted to leave. Gabby was, she was open about it, and we got a trade done. So that was it. Like, we got a trade done. She wanted to leave. We got a player that we wanted. We got a future player that we wanted. They got the player that they wanted. But at no time, I think before we put Gabby on suspension, my phone was not ringing because of everybody knew that Gabby was going to come late. And then so that meant that we would have had a player on, our books on the cap, if you understand the cap situation, that to our knowledge was never going to play at Chicago. So it was, my responsibility to put our team in the best situation where we're not spending dead money, and we have somebody that we want to have on our team so we can become whole. And that's where, I guess a lot of the emotions, and I didn't want to speak on it beforehand because it would have put us trading Gabby in jeopardy. And I didn't want that to be a problem. So now I'm more open about it. And now she's where she wants to go. She's where she wants to be. She can focus on French national team, and so now it's all settled, and we can all put it behind us. And I think it's a particular situation, and it goes to cause for Gabby she was a role player on our team, and her in LA, she'll probably have a better role that she wants, and that's what she explained to me also. And it goes to cause for, hey, this is a tough league to play in, and when you have a lot of talent, some teams don't, and they need more talent. And maybe soon in the future you'll have expansion, but that's it. It was outside of all the noise that went on outside of it. It was something that we knew was going to happen, but I didn't want to put that at jeopardy by telling the media, hey, this is what we want, this is what's going on. But now I can be more open to it since everybody got what they wanted.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate being candid about that, but I was more interested in the fact that one team or another faces a similar situation, and would it be better, I guess, for the league to be a winter sport rather than a summer sport to maybe avoid these types of international or overseas commitments, so the WNBA can be at full strength with the best rosters in the world?
I mean, that's always going to be in discussion. That's something that's going to be in discussion. But I mean, sometimes players are going to have to prioritize what they want to do, and the teams are going to have to prioritize what they want to do. I wish it could work out for everybody. Like I wish she could have played on a national team and did both, but she couldn't do that, and so she had to make a choice. And that left us with having to make a choice as well. We didn't want to trade her until so when all the noise that came up about us having to trade for her around the draft, it was at her request. And it doesn't make her a bad person by no means. It just makes her a person that's thinking about a future, that, really wants to be with the French national team. And I respect that. And, I'm okay with it. And we're better for it. And LA is better for it. And the French national team will be better for it. I think everybody wins in this scenario, so it's fine.
That's great. Thanks, Coach.
All right, no.
Hey, Coach Wade, how you doing today?
All right, I'm doing good.
I just wanted to ask you, with the first preseason game out of the way, was there any lineups or any players that stood out to you in like their first taste of WNBA action yesterday?
My thing was I like seeing Kai and Diamond together defensively. We talked about some things they could have done better because the potential's there. Astu with Steph, it's been a long time since we've seen that, since 2019. So I like seeing them together. And I mean, having Natasha Mack out there and having Brittany Boyd in that defensive group was pretty cool to see too. The fact that we were missing a lot of players it kind of, restricts your thought process from seeing Sloop with certain players, from seeing Quickly with certain players, and so on. So that was mostly about it that I can put my finger on right now. That really kind of made me think, and I wanted to see more of.
And I got another question for you. With the game tomorrow, will we be seeing Sloot and Allie and Candace, or are you saving them for the game on,
No,
I believe Sunday?
I think we got to give them a little run together and see how, just get them into some kind of flow. I wouldn't want the first game to be their first official game. So we're going to give them some minutes. I don't want to kind of get out of rhythm and thought process of what I wanted to do. The next game, like I did last game, where I wanted to keep them to 15 and they end up playing 20. So I kind of want to, I don't know where it is right now, but I just want to give them some time to kind of get up and down, play together, and get them out.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, James. And thank you all for joining us.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing to the media that's on? If people are still listening, I'm going to always be supportive of of the media that covers women's basketball. So even if you don't have outlets, like I've told our PR this before, I want you guys to have the access to us, because I appreciate what you do, because I feel like the women's game needs more of a voice, and they need more people talking about it. But what disappointed me during this this whole timeline of the last week or so is we were inviting media in that didn't have an outlet, and so they used that. So I'm just going to be straight up. When I was young, I grew up with a speaking problem, and so yesterday I was disappointed to see that a media outlet that I allowed to come in, even though they didn't have an outlet, they used that to kind of bully me on Twitter, and I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate that, for the simple fact is, so it's not many of us that run ball clubs. It's not many African Americans that run ball clubs. So the media has a responsibility to just report the news. And so when you try to make me look like I'm not intelligent, I take offense to that. It's one of the insecurities I have, because I'm from the South and I talk with a drawl. And so when you do that, it's not a very, I think it's brazen, and I think it's harsh. And so that's something that I didn't appreciate, especially on Mother's Day, when my mother called to see if I was okay, because people are mocking me. And it's because of a media member that's mocking the way I talk. And, it's one of the reasons with the insecurities I have, speaking in public and all this, that I'm so hard on learning and being able to speak 3 languages. It's the reason why my son is able to speak 3 languages, is because of the insecurities that I had growing up. And so when I see that, it's not very nice. And I don't want to be close to the media, but I just want to tell you that you have a responsibility to just be open-minded. And if I make a bad move, or if I make a bad trade, or that's fine. But when you start, teasing the way I talk and trying to make me look unintelligent, I think that's not only disrespectful, but I think it's irresponsible. So that's all I want to say. But I appreciate the media that do come here, and I don't care about being judged, but my intellect is something that's off limits. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, James.